But in Europe, you can go on a Bosman when you're 23, but in the UK, it's 24. Right. So I remember at the time Leeds came in to try and buy us, and Port Vale turned it down. And I said, please take the money, because they just got relegated from the Prem that season, okay. Leeds. I said, please take it, because otherwise I'll go abroad. Yeah. And they didn't think I'd go abroad. Right. Whereas I was like, why wouldn't I go abroad? Yeah. Double my money, no tax. No, it's like, if you said that to anyone in any job, it's like...
Yeah. So, I mean, like, Glasgow is one of my favourite cities in the world. I've been lucky enough to travel around. The energy in Glasgow and I call it the city that always eats, because there's about 2,000 restaurants in
well,
the city.
It's one thing about the Scots, they love having a good time, and whenever you visit them, I remember always going to see my gran or anyone come visiting, there's always so much food, and they'll just keep piling it in and piling it in. Yeah. Do you want some more? Do you want another one? Do you want it? It's like, no, I'm okay, thank you.
I was amazed that someone told me that it was two famous architects that were kind of competing against each other years ago, and that's why the city centre's got quite a lot of amazing buildings, because these two architects were going.
Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, considering all the places I've lived, Glasgow's the least out of all of them. Right. Yeah. I was born there, that was pretty much it. My mum and dad wanted to keep it in the country.
Yeah. Amazing. Right, okay, so we kind of started just a bit further behind where I thought, but it'd be, so people who don't know. Yeah. You're Stephen McPhee, commercial director at IU, and former professional footballer, turned business leader, turned mental health advocate, probably. There's quite a few things that you've got involved with over the years. What's IU? What do IU do?
So IU, they are one of a handful of companies globally that remanufacture laptops and PCs. Okay. Not to be confused with refurbished. We do have a refurbished side. We've got an e-commerce that sell the refurbished side, and we also do that on Amazon. But IU solely focuses on the remanufactured side because it's a grade above. And the biggest thing is we call it remanufactured the new, because it is practically a new computer, but it's not. Okay. And one of the biggest things is the amount of savings you can make. Sure. And I'm just trying to educate one business at a time, one school at a time, one person at a time, the benefits of it.
So what is it? You take out all the processor and memory, put some new stuff in? Or?
With refurbished, you've got different grades. Right. So if a component doesn't need fixing, it won't get fixed. So it's more of a repair. Cosmetically, it might still be damaged on the outside, then it'll go back into the circular economy. With remanufactured, we pretty much take it back to its shell. Everything is tested. If it's worn, then all new components go in, and then that will go back into the circular economy. So there's a lot less return rate than you would get with a refurbished. I think refurbished is like 5 to 7%, whereas we're working more at like 2%. Right. But even when you buy new, you still get laptops and PCs that still come back.
Yeah. So it makes sense, right?
It does. I when I first got into the role, I wasn't sure. But the more I learned about the process and the benefits of it, I can't see why everyone isn't doing it.
Yeah. You do a lot of things, can you? Cars or anything like that, you know. Interesting. So how did you get into doing that?
So I ran a print business franchise for 11 years. I got it to the point where I felt I couldn't take it any further. And also I felt like it just become a bit repetitive. It became a bit easy. And I'm one of them, I like throwing myself in the deep end because I know I'll swim, but it's going to be a hard swim to start, but then easy afterwards. It was like when I finished playing football, what do I do now? Obviously went through the depression and suicide, etc. And I was like, right, let's try a print franchise. Never done it, knew nothing about it. Start from scratch, learned so much. Got to where I was with the print and thought, right, let's try this employment malarkey that's so good. And I applied for so many things on Indeed and LinkedIn, and I was getting nothing back. And I remember having a conversation with one of my friends that's in B&I, and he said, "You've got to understand, you've run your own business for 11 years. People might be a bit wary of, can he be employed? What's he going to be like in that role? So rather than taking the risk, they just won't do it." So I was like, right, I need to think outside the box to get a job. So obviously I've done B&I for over 12 years now. And I was having a conversation with Tomislav Simnett. One of the things he always says at the end is there anything else I can help you with? And I said, do you know any recruiters? So he put me in touch with a recruiter that day. I talked to her that afternoon, and she said to me at the time, do you know what sector you want to go into? I said, no, I'm open to anything, because if sales is sales, it's how you sell it. And she said, well, I've got one for an IT role. It's a bit below what you want pay-wise, but the commission's good, etc. And I always remember one thing that my dad said years and years ago: it's better to be in a job looking for a job than out of a job. You're in a better position. So it's like, right, let's go for the interview. Let's do it. Because lucky enough, I've never had to go for an interview in my life.
Right.
Having played football, I either got bought or I got picked all the time. And then it was the same with Minuteman. I picked Minuteman. So I never had to write a CV. So it was like, right, I need to do a CV, I need to do this. So I went for the interview more as a learning curve. So loved everything that they said in that. They asked me a few questions, and they pretty much offered me the job on the spot. Right. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. And yeah, here I am. Just over a year and a bit now. Right. And yeah, really enjoying it.
Yeah. It always does come across that you truly, it's quite easy to, when people talk, whether they believe in what they do and whether they really. I think
if your heart isn't in what you're selling or what you're providing, I think that energy will portray across. One of the biggest compliments that I get all the time is, "Oh, I thought it was your company." And I'm like, well, I act like it's my company. Unless you ask me, you can perceive however you want. But if I'm working for this company, I'm going to act as if it's my company, because people talk to people in different ways. And if you think I'm just a sales rep or whatever, your mindset completely changes. Whereas if you think I'm the owner of this big multi-million-pound company, your mindset is totally different again. Sure. And it opens up different avenues. But if you ask me, am I the owner? No. But most people don't ask. They think, it's more, I thought it was your company. And you didn't ask.
Are there elements of your sporting career that you bring into that makes you good at sales?
I think the biggest thing is putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. So when I first started, I knew nothing about IT. I knew nothing about laptops. So I was like, right, I need to learn. And I was like, what's the quickest way to learn? So I just started writing everything down because it sticks. But then I was like, right, not many people know about what we do. So let's use LinkedIn. So I was like, I can use that as a two-way street, because if I'm having to write the articles, I'm learning at the same time. Right. So I'm learning as I go. So it started off, right, I'll put a couple of posts out there, but now I post every day because it's just try to educate people that little bit more. And I think that helped me in the way I learned a lot faster and my knowledge in the IT sector now, because I target schools, which is great because they can save budget, etc. But a lot of my one-to-ones and my strategic targeting is IT companies. And just from talking to all these different IT companies, the amount you learn from these guys is amazing, because they're all providing the same sort of service and different add-ons here and there. But it's like I was talking to a guy the other day there, had a one-to-one with him. He was in BNI, and he came from South Africa, got his own IT company, but for some reason moved to Scotland.
Right.
So I wasn't sure what accent he was going to have or anything, but what a nice man. And one of the things he was telling me was Apple will say to you, you have to put new software, you can't put new software in all Apple devices. He went, that's a lie, because I can. So, and so I get asked all the time for Apple remanufactured, and so I'm like, we don't do Apple, so I need a referral partner. So I'm like, I'll be able to send so much your way, and it's very easy. It's like, yeah, go deal with this guy, he'll be able to help you, and his knowledge is unbelievable.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that, and I have to always be mindful of where this goes and what people see and stuff. So there are manufacturers of technology that they make them to last for a certain amount of time.
I think a lot of people already know that. with the watches breaking after 2 years, or
just
the phones,
after the warranty goes, and there's not enough memory, and the updates take all that up, and
well, I was having a conversation. I was having a conversation with another guy just the other day, and it was like, if you go back years and years ago, a lot of the stuffs in our house, what we use, was just so robust it wouldn't break. But as in time, they've got to find ways of doing it to make money, because if it just lasts all the time, well, where's the repeat business?
Yeah. It's fascinating actually how, if anyone has a memory and sees things and kind of questions why things don't last as long, and you're like, well, it's obvious really. They don't want them to. Yeah. Well, not built as well. It's the same with cars, and it's the same with.
Well, I think that's massive in the IT sector, because it's all down to software as well, right? Yeah. It's like Windows 10 is not going to be supported come 14th of October. So that's one of the big pushes for us at the moment. Right. Because I think there's 10 million devices out there that aren't going to be compatible. And it's like, even if you just get a small percentage of that, it's amazing. Yeah. But I think as we get closer and closer to time, the demand's going to just rise and rise and rise. And then the biggest thing is, who's got the supply?
Yeah. It's bonkers. It really is bonkers. Let's not get into it. And so you're obviously, you guys are all prepared for that Windows 10.
Yes, so all our laptops and PCs, they all come with Windows 11 Pro.
Right.
We still sell some that won't be compatible on our e-commerce and on Amazon, because people, they're just end consumers. They just want to watch Netflix or do whatever. Right. But on the IU side, it's business grade and above. Yeah. So yeah, we try and put the best back into the circular economy.
Yeah. There's so much to talk about. I'm never usually stuck for words. But so in the playing career, so you finished at 28.
29.
29.
Yeah.
Okay. And that seems quite fairly young, I suppose. Well,
yeah, I think it didn't hit me straight away. Yeah. Because I'd sort of processed it before, and I'd sort of processed it, and then because I got offered the first team coach's job with Ian Holloway this season, we were in the Premier League. It didn't really hit because I was still in the same environment, etc. Okay, I wasn't playing, but I was still in the bubble, still amongst it. And then obviously when I left Blackpool, I think that's when it really hit home. Right. It's like, and I get asked all the time about, do you miss anything? And as time's gone on, I've always said, yeah, you miss the banter in the change room, you miss the lads, etc. But what what I've realised is I've missed being part of a team where when you're down, I'll pick you up. When I'm down, you pick me up. And it's like, and pushing each other to become better people, whether it's on the pitch, whether it's in a business or whatever. So it all comes down to environment. So that's why I was like, right, I'll go get employed. I want to be part of a team and see where it takes us.
It's interesting. I've been talking a lot with people recently, or people with friends, because we're all around our mid-40s, and things that we've done for our whole lives that you don't really think are going to change, and you have an impression of how things are going to be in your future and in later life, and then they suddenly change. And a lot of the conversations is like, well, you've got to try and have a different kind of impression, a different vision of the future.
Yeah.
And
well, I think in life a lot of things change, priorities change. You get married, you have kids. I think as you get older, you mellow, you become more relaxed. You know what you want in life. You know what you like. You know your environments. Whereas when you're a bit younger, you're still searching. You don't know what you want. And as I've got older, I've realised it's about being around the right people and being happy, but then pushing those people as well to be better people. Yeah.
Was it difficult to know who the right people were when you were in the limelight, as it were?
I used to always trust everyone. I used to always say, right, you've got my trust. It's up to you to lose it. Whereas I've got a bit older, it's more, right, you need to gain my trust first. So it's sort of changed a little bit. I don't know when that actually changed, but when I was younger and I stopped playing, and I was out in the town all the time, and I was inviting everyone back. I didn't know half the people that were in my house, but I think I was just masking my depression more than anything. Try to drink it away, try to be happy. But if you try and do something that isn't within you, then you're masking it. So I think the more you can talk about something, because the biggest thing I didn't do was ask for help, because as a footballer, you're built to be so mentally strong, because you're getting abused from the sidelines, you're getting abused from the lads. You've got to put a barrier up, and you've got to be able to take it. Yeah. And you as a footballer, you think you know everything, but you don't. So when it came out, it's like, what I should have done was ask people for help, right? A bit of guidance. Where do I go now? What do I do? Before I started digging my hole. But I think as long as you've got a good family around you to start off with, that are supportive and help you when you're down, it helps massively. Yeah. It's like people always ask me, do you want your boys to be footballers? I don't care what they are, as long as they're happy. They could be ballerinas for all I care. I'll be there cheering them on, honestly, yeah.
I have a friend who's a policeman, and both his parents were in the police force, and they didn't want him to be in the police. And he said, I just kind of went to them one day and said, I'm really sorry, but I don't know. And it's funny though, isn't it, in terms of, I'm the same, so my son's not very sporty. Well, he isn't at the moment, he's only young. And people saying, do you know, when's he going to start playing cricket? Or, and I said, well, when he's ready.
Well, it's funny.
I don't really care.
Well, that's the thing. Because I played football, I was like, oh, they're going to be footballers. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, that's up to them what they want to do. What I'm going to do is give them every opportunity possible. Yeah. I'll take them swimming, I'll take them climbing, I'll take them tennis, I'll take them football, I'll take them rugby. If they find one that they like, or Dad, can we go dancing, right? If you want to give it a go, give it a go. Yeah. Find something that you love doing, and it makes life easier.
It's interesting, isn't it? I'm always a bit obsessed with the idea of mentors. Yeah. And people that you can trust, there's nothing in it for them. Yeah. Well, their only interest is you, your well-being, and maybe your performance, or whatever. Did you feel did you have anyone around you?
Not really. Well, that's the thing. It's football's. I'm only speaking from my experience, but once I finish playing football, you suddenly know who your friends are. The phone calls stop. It's like right? The little packages that you get all the time as a thank yous and this and people wanting to be part, because you're not in that bubble anymore. It's like, well, we don't, or you're not doing well. You're perceived not to be doing well. Then it's like, oh, see you later.
See you later.
Yeah. So it's one thing that I've tried to do over the years. I'm like, right, who's been good? Because ultimately, everyone I've played with, they've just been colleagues. That's the way it is. Football's a business, and that's how I've looked at it. So the way I've looked at it is, over the years, which colleagues or friends have I had the best rapport with, that had a good time with, etc. And I've started to reach out to them a bit more. Let's go for a coffee. Just pick up the phone. How are you doing? Because ultimately, keep in touch with people, because you don't know what someone's going through until they actually tell you. And I'm like, if I'm on the phone to a friend, you can hear in his voice he's a bit down, well, I'll kick him up the bum a bit, or try to get to the bottom of it. And it's like, we're here to help each other, not drag each other down.
I'm a big believer that we're all connected somehow. And
I totally believe that.
Someone keeps coming to my head, I will message them and just say, randomly, I keep thinking about it, is everything all right? James is such an idiot. I'm fine, but I do think that we're all connected somehow, and if there's a reason, might be a reason why you're thinking about something.
Well, it's sometimes you get a gut instinct sometimes, and it's like you're thinking of it. I've had it a couple of times where I'm thinking of someone, and then all of a sudden my phone goes, and guess who it is? And it's like, how is that even possible?
I mean, it happens far too often for it to be
a coincidence.
Do you feel like, so that kind of awareness of gut and instinct, because of, you're a forward, right? So
forward/winger.
So do you feel like you were more in tune with your instincts and gut, because that's your position?
You have to do things faster. I think the more you think about something, the more chance it's going to go wrong. It's like when you're taking a penalty, don't change your mind, because there's a good chance it'll go wrong. It's like when you're through with a keeper, make your decision quicker. Whereas if you hesitate, well, there's a good chance that you'll get saved. So I think that's the same thing in life. So I'm always, if I see something and I want to do it, I'll just do it. So it's like I did a skydive last week, but it was one of the things on my bucket list that I wanted to do. Obviously raising money for Cash for Kids as well, but it just popped up on social media. I think it was LinkedIn. I'm like, right, just went on, booked it, done. Let's do it. What am I waiting for? It's on my bucket list. You're there. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
What is it? Seize the day, carpe diem.
I always think it's that kind of, there's an imagination side of it where you're going, okay, well, if this happens, I can go there. It's that kind of prediction of outcomes. And when you're in form, they seem to happen more often than not, and when you're not, some people seem to have that intrinsic connection. I know there's a batsman called Tendulkar, and he probably considered one of the top two ever to play the game, and he used to practice predicting when he was watching the game, what ball's going to be bowled next. That was his thing all day, 8 hours a day, and he must have got really good at it. Because there are some times where you feel like you know what's going to happen.
Well, that's what they say in football or anything. Stick to the basics and do the basics really well over and over and over again. And if you can do the basics at an expert level, well, the rest will follow. When you start overcomplicating the things, and I think that's what we love doing as businesses or whatever. Well, how did we get into business in the first place? How did we get here? And keeping it simple, but being really good at doing what you're doing.
When was your most successful time? Okay, well, what did you do? Did this. Okay, do you still do that? No.
When I played, people asked, how come you had such a... I've always said, if you're happy off the pitch, you'll be happy on the pitch. But the good thing with football was, even if it wasn't good off the pitch, you could walk across that white line and forget about that for 90 minutes. Everything else didn't exist for 90 minutes. You're on the pitch, you're going to war, you want to win. And then once you come back over the white line, if that's happy, then you've got a great environment all the time. If there's bad, then it's like, right, back to reality.
Yeah.
But then you need to change that.
Yeah. So, you mentioned, so was the depression after you finished?
Yes, after I finished, yeah.
And I suppose so much change that goes on, and like you say, people not being around and all that. Do you think that there was one main kind of factor involved in?
I think because I didn't know what to do with my life, I was at crossroads and I didn't know which direction to go. So rather than going in any direction, I went that way. I went that way at night and I went that way, and that just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I couldn't see any way out. So yeah, I'm glad, so grateful I survived. Now that I've got 2 little boys, and people ask, do you ever get any thoughts? And I'm like, as soon as it comes anywhere near me, I'm like, no way in a million years. The thought doesn't even come in anymore, because I've got to lead by example for those 2 little boys. It's like doing the skydive and playing football last week. I didn't want to play, but they'd never seen me put a strip on. So it's try to be the best dad that I can be for those boys, so that they got a better chance in life and a happy life.
It's a good drug, isn't it? A laugh from your child, or a smile, or something nice. It does give you a bit of a buzz.
Well, even when you're stressed from work or stressed from the missus or whatever, and they do something cheeky or whatever, and they're amazing children.
Yeah, mine has a canny ability of never being in trouble, even when he is. Just talks me around and says something funny, or. Yeah. My
8-year-old's just learned to wink, but he winks like this. I'm like, okay, mate, we need to dim that wink down a bit.
Mine started doing this after everything. I'm like, do you know what that means? He thinks he does, but it's just hilarious when he does it. It's a drug. There's something nice about other people, especially kids, laughing and smiling and liking you. I'm not sure I could cope if.
What's that saying? I hear it all the time. No one wants you to do better than your dad.
Yeah. So if you were to have any advice for anyone who's struggling, what would you say?
What I found is talk to people that are closest to you, but I always found that hard. I don't know why I found it hard talking to family, etc. So I was like, if I can't talk to them, I'll talk to a stranger. You've got to get it out there. And one of the biggest things that helped me was I started to see a counsellor. Whenever I felt that I've had a couple of little periods where I've started to feel like I'm going down the wrong path again, and I've just reached out to a counsellor. And the biggest thing is just getting it off your chest. Why are you feeling like this? Why are you doing that? And they help steer you back on the path of where you were. And I think the biggest thing is when you don't know the answer and someone can help you with that answer, it's clear. Whereas if you just start overthinking things, then it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, I think the biggest thing you can do is talk and ask for help. And it's a counsellor, parents, friends, strangers. Yeah, you'll be surprised how many people out there will actually help you when you ask for help.
It's tough though, isn't it? It's hard to ask for, especially like.
I think it's harder for men. I think women are a lot more emotionally in tune. And very resilient. I've just had to look after the kids for the last couple of days because my partner, she's been away, and my hands go up to all single parents, whether you're a single dad looking after the kids, whether you're a single mum looking after the kids, and not only doing that, but running a business or being employed. But yeah, hats off to you.
Yeah, it's crazy. I had a spell where so my dad had passed away, and he'd take on the responsibility of being the male in the household and the strong one, and then suddenly you're like, I'm not really emotionally capable of dealing with this, but you don't tell anyone about it, because why would you? You know, if you're the strong one, you have to take on that role.
I think emotional intelligence is huge. It's a lot bigger now in football. It's back in the day, it was like, right, just get on with it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it doesn't matter whether it's in the business place or in the football. It's to get the best out of your employees or your players or your team. Understand if there's something wrong, right? Why is he feeling like that? Can we help you? Do you need a day off? Is it something at home? Because the last thing you want is someone to spiral out of control. And if you can get to the root cause quicker, you can solve it quicker and start working as a team again. It's try to understand everyone. And the better you get to know each other, I think the easier it is.
Would you give yourself any advice starting out as a footballer that you would do differently maybe, or?
I've been asked that loads of times, and I've always said in my head, have no regrets, because I wouldn't be where I am today. But if I was to do it again, I'd probably be a little bit more professional. As in, I think it was just the culture that we lived in, that once you finish playing, right, let's get to the pub, let's go out. But all that is habits. So finish playing, let's go have some drinks. Whereas I think the level that they are now these days is they're not just elite, they're like elite. And you can see the fitness and just everything. Everything about it is that 1% gains. What can I do to be that little better? So if I was to do it again, I'd be like, right, let's do a little bit extra. Let's do a little bit more of this. Let's do a little bit more of that. Can I become better? What do I need to do to become better? Probably analyse it a little bit more.
Yeah. You had a lot of fun though, didn't you?
Yes. I could write many books just on my trips to Vegas.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. A different podcast. We'll start a different one for those stories. I had something in my head to say then, but completely gone. When I was going to say, when I was asked the same thing a while back, and like you, I was like, well, if I'd done that, then I wouldn't have met the people I'd met, and I'm really good friends with them. They probably added lots of stuff to my life, and I was thinking, the biggest thing I regret is not helping out as much at home. Do you know what I mean? When I was asked to like unload the dishwasher or something, why didn't you just do it? Why was it such an effort to do it? And when you become a parent and you have a house and a job as well and other things, you're like, I probably should have helped out a bit more. We should have. It's
as much as you don't want to, the best thing is just do it.
Yeah.
Less chance to getting grief.
And so when you when it comes to IU and what people come to you for, what's the biggest trigger for them now to come and contact you about what you guys do?
Well, at the moment, a lot of people are looking for net zero, working towards that, sustainability, etc. And we've obviously got the solution because, for example, we work with schools, and with the schools, what we'll do is, right, for example, you've got 100 devices, we'll take those devices off you, we'll offset it against what we're putting in. You're already making about 50 to 60% saving. but by offsetting it, what we're taking, you're probably making 70, 80%, so they're even cheaper.
Right.
Then we'll use those machines, we'll refurb them or remanufacture them, depending, and we'll put them back into the circular economy. Then you've got those machines for about a 3-year cycle, then we'll take them off your hands and put other ones. So when you get in that cycle, especially for a school, you're looking to save between 70 and 80% from buying new. And as a school, and all the budget restraints at the moment, if you could free up 70 to 80% of your tech budget, to me it just doesn't make sense why you wouldn't.
Yeah, why would you not do it? And it's green. I always think with cars, it's much better to look after something, a diesel, for 15, 20 years and really look after it, than to have 15 cars in that time. But each one be a little bit cleaner and a little bit, safer. It makes sense just to, use what's there already. But
And it's the same with IT companies. What I found is one of my biggest stumbling blocks, we only buy new. Well, why don't you let the business or the end user decide, rather than pushing new? Give them the option. Here's this device, this is how much it costs new. Here's the exact same device, exact same brand, but you're saving and you're helping the environment at the same time. If you gave that to the business or the end user, in my opinion, I would go with, as long as it works the exact same, looks the exact same, why would you pay full price?
My PCI uses X display.
Yeah.
And I've never had an issue with it. And a lot cheaper. I've not gone and bought another one or anything like that. And I just think, why wouldn't you?
Well, it's the biggest thing I've found is it's a mindset, because what tends to happen is, I remember when, even before I got into this role, my computer break, right, let's buy a new one. My phone break, right, let's buy a new one. Or anything tech breaks, it's let's buy a new one. You wouldn't even consider refurb or remanufactured, but now knowing what I know, it's like, right, let's look into what we can get out there that's good for the environment, and I'm getting the exact same product, but ultimately it's saving my pocket as well.
Yeah. It's more sustainable. There's
less e-waste.
Yeah.
And less resources needed.
Yeah. Do you, obviously being in sales and that kind of thing, is there a team around you these days?
No, so solely me. I mainly came in to produce new sales. So everything I've brought in is completely new, no account management or anything like that. So everything that I've done has been pretty strategic, as in identifying my key target clients, how am I going to target them, and you can talk about all the different touch points, whether it's email, whether it's social media, whether it's picking up the phone, whether it's LinkedIn messaging. Well, I was going to say fax, but we don't do that anymore. But yeah, as many touch points as possible. And the biggest thing I've learned, especially in business, is it's not about the quick sale. It's about the lifetime value of that client or that customer, and looking after them. Once you've got them in, right, let's help them grow as a business. What we can do to help you? And sometimes you might not get a sale straight away, but if you keep in contact and keep that relationship going, and you keep at the forefront of their thought process, then it's like, I'll go at Steve. I'll go at Steve.
Yeah.
But that starts with a conversation, and then just keeping in touch, and slowly that snowball effect gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Whereas if you want quick sales, it's like, well, quick sales are great, but what's the goal of the quick sale? What are we doing with the quick sale? We need to account manage it after. We can do quick sales, but let's try and build relationships that are going to last for a long time, that are just going to be repeat business.
Build up trust over time.
Yeah. Well, people ultimately, as a business or people, it doesn't matter what product you're buying, you want to know when you're buying or getting provided a service that you're getting the best. And if you know the person behind the product or the service personally on that level, you feel at ease a lot more. James will sort it out. James will sort it out. He'll be good. Yeah, I trust James. I don't even need to ask. He'll be all right. But if you build the trust, and the rest comes with it.
We've had an experience in the last year with a client that stopped, and they stopped like that, and they had no communication with us. And I tried to reach out, and I was like, it kind of didn't sit right with me, but we'd done our best, and we'd been really clear and honest with everything that had gone on. We got some really good results, and they stopped. And then about a year later, the CEO called me up and said, we'd like to have another chat. And then you get to know that there was things going on internally that he couldn't talk about, but now it's all freed up and sorted out, that they liked the way we worked. And it was nice to think that the way that we worked had built up that credibility and trust, that even after they'd stopped a year later, they give you that call and they go, yeah, we like you, we want to use you again, you know. And it was nothing to do with the service or the
No, but I think that's the same in life. When you see someone acting out or frustrated or angry, you don't know what that person's going through. You don't have a clue what's going on. It'll be something, if they want to tell you, they'll tell you. But because they're acting like that, obviously something has gone. I just said, be nice to people, be nice to customers, be nice to everyone.
Yeah. Well, you never know who they know.
Yeah.
Sometimes we do jobs like you say, what's the long-term picture, what's the big picture? It might not be them that's our target market, but we know they've got a lot of contacts, so we'll help them out.
Yeah.
And do a job, see they trust with us, they see how we work, there's credibility.
Well, one of the biggest things I've learned from networking is it's not about sales, it's obviously about building relationships, but ultimately it's about connecting people. And if you've built up a good network and people trust you, and say, for example, you're targeting whatever sector, I'll go, oh, no, so-and-so, I'll make the introduction for you. And this has only come in the last couple of years that I've realised putting people together works so much better because they're reciprocated. It's like they say in B&I, givers gain. It's not a referral. We're just making introductions and it starts with a conversation, but we've started now and we're building that relationship. And yeah, it works so well when you can introduce people, because then they do it back for you.
And whatever you do, isn't it? It's all about relationships, all about Steve, who we all know, Steve Ickovich. I've nicked his saying, which is just have a good conversation. It's all about having a good conversation, building up that credibility.
And you don't know where the conversation will go. You don't. Ultimately, and if you haven't got any social media presence, any LinkedIn presence, obviously this with B&I you can do the gains and you can see a lot of stuff on there. But if not, ask questions. What makes James tick? Why do you get up in the morning?
Worrying answers. Yeah. Well, it is, isn't it? That's why I kind of started this podcast, because I thought, well, there's lots of people, and I kind of switch off a bit in the pitches. And you probably do this because you've heard 1,000. They've probably heard a lot of them multiple times. But it's when you talk to them away from it and you find out what they've done and who they are and what they've been through and why they started the business, how they've grown it. That's
one of the things I've found as well is when I've had one-to-ones, it doesn't matter whether it's IT companies or that, and you open up honestly about the stuff that I've been through. The amount of people then open up to me about bad things in their life, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad you and they'll tell, because anyone that says they've got a perfect life is a liar. Everyone's got troubles. It doesn't matter whether it's at home, whether it's business. Every bit of success comes with different problems. It's like, right, how do we solve these problems?
And take it forward. So anyone, if you had some advice I've done a lot of these questions, I don't usually ask these many, but in terms of advice, if you were to give any tips to business owners that might be changing career or going into a different sector or a different position that they've not done before, would you have any advice for them?
Don't do it. No, I think don't overthink it. Do what you think's natural. Go where you got instinct. And if it's like a business decision, go where you got. What do you think's right? If you think it's right, do it. If you don't. But I've always said it's better to do something and regret doing it than further down the line go, oh, I wish I did that. Yeah, I've always said do it and you can always change again, rather than, oh, I wish I'd made that decision back then.
Yeah. And learn from it.
Yeah, that's it. Like they say, but it's a great saying. I love it. I can't remember when I first heard it. You either win or you learn.
Yeah. With going back to sport, I'm going to ask this because they're just interested in it. Who's the best player that you came across in your career?
Came across or played against or played with?
Played on the same pitch as.
So I've played, bloody hell, played on the pitch with some good players.
Who's your hero growing up? Let's change that one. Who's your footballing?
So when I was younger, obviously we're from Glasgow.
Yeah.
So my dad was Rangers, my brother was Rangers. So I went against the grain and I went Celtic. So back in the day it was John Collins and Paul McStay.
Right.
But what happened back then was we didn't have, because everyone asked me, do you support anyone?
Yeah.
I always say no, because back then we didn't have the internet. So when we're living in Saudi or Greece or whatever,
Right.
How do you follow a team that's in Scotland?
Yeah.
Gran, how did they get on?
Yeah.
Unless you're talking on the phone all the time, then you're not going to know. So I think if I'd lived in a modern day world, I'm more likely to have supported a team, because you supported them, but then that gets taken away from you. It's a habit.
Yeah. So you obviously moved around a lot, and I always think I've come across people where you think, and it's quite a depressing time where I was on a pitch with someone, I thought, I'll never be that good, and it hadn't happened before. That I could never play those shots.
I used to always say to myself, I'm better than you. I used to big myself up so much. And it was literally just talking to yourself all the time. I'm like, oh, I'm better than him. But coming back to your original question, it was a guy who was talking to me yesterday and played against the likes of John Terry and all these. But I always remember one striker that I used to hate playing against. And it was a guy called Chris Morgan.
Right.
And he used to play for Barnsley, but he was one of your Barnsley and Sheffield United. Yeah. And he was one of your old school defenders where you always wear studs. Yeah. And he'd accidentally stand on your toes or accidentally. So when you were going into a match and you knew he was playing, you were already mentally getting ready for it because it was going to be a battle. And you were going to come off with bruises or scratches or it wasn't going to be a simple game. No. So he used to always stick in my mind. But with players I played with, I remember playing with McAllister, unbelievable passer of the ball, unbelievable. When Robbie Keane first came in at Coventry, it was like, bloody hell, he's only a year older than me, but unbelievable. And then when I was at Hull, I'm playing in the same team as Ray Parlour and JJ Okocha, and it's not until you get asked these questions you actually look back, and I'm like, what I should really do is put a starting 11 together of the best players I've played with, and I'm like, oh wow, I actually did all right.
I remember seeing JJ Okocha in the '94 World Cup, and some of the tricks and skills he's playing. I was like, oh, this guy's amazing. I couldn't work out why more people weren't talking about it.
Well, the JJ was. It was like he was just playing on the playground all the time, always laughing. Seeing his big weight, always laughing. Whether it was off the pitch, in the changing room, such a fun character to be around.
Sam Allardyce says that when he was at Bolton, that he gave more to the team than he was expecting. Yeah,
it was such a good energy. Yeah,
amazing player. That's amazing, JJ. Is there anything that else you'd like to cover that I haven't asked yet?
No, I'm just grateful for giving me the time and
Yeah.
being able to get my story out a little bit, a bit of IU's story out a little bit.
Yeah.
And no, thank you guys.
Well, thanks for coming over, giving your time. Really appreciate it. And hopefully someone listening might learn something from it, enjoy it. I think there's people get impressions of people that aren't often.
Yeah, it's like I was listening to, I watched snippets of Under the Cosh, and one of the ones that recently was Ravel Morrison.
I just watched the same one. Yeah.
I didn't watch the whole thing, but it's people's perception in this world, whether it's business, whether it's football. It's like Chinese whispers, because people hear things, they perceive, and it's like everyone automatically think that he'd be on the booze, but he doesn't drink, and all these, he's out playing video games, and it's like, if you really want to know something, ask the horse the question.
Yeah.
Don't perceive and don't Chinese whisper, oh, did you hear this? Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Well, unless you know the truth. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been lovely to chat, and I look forward to chatting with you more. Networking group that we both go to. And,
100%.
And
Thank you.
Good.